Today I am trying something new with sourdough. So I really want to start growing in my knowledge of sourdough and the science behind it and everything, but I also want to learn about bread in general and the different methods and ingredients for different types of bread, and then learn how to transfer that over to sourdough. So for the longest time, I just made my sourdough the same every time, and I made it in a Dutch oven, but then I started learning how to do it without a Dutch oven. So when I saw a video from Farmhouse on Boone where she made these mini sourdough bread bowls, I knew I wanted to try making them because I thought they'd be perfect little Christmas gifts. The recipe is exactly the same as the one I always use for the full size, so I just made a double batch today. One for the normal loaves and then one for the mini ones. So instead of dividing the dough into 2 loaves, I'm just dividing it into 8 equal-ish size loaves and then rolling them into the balls just kind of like you would with a normal loaf. So if you watched my last video, you know that I made these quite a bit ahead of time before Christmas because I was having a baby. So I wanted to make sure that we were stocked up on our regular sourdough, so that's why I'm making all of this bread and then just freezing it. So I placed the mini loaves on a parchment-lined baking sheet and let them proof for a couple hours on there. Then I put some flour on top and then started with my designs. And since this was before Christmas, so I was trying to make like Christmassy themed. This was also a test run, so some of them didn't turn out that great, but I am making a snowflake here and the rest of them are kind of just like random designs. So because I'm not using a Dutch oven, I need to add steam. So last time I just added a bowl of ice, but after watching Farmhouse on Boone and doing some more research, I preheated the oven with a cake pan and then put some towels in a different pan and poured boiling water over it. I placed that in the oven right away, added my sourdough, then quickly poured ice into the hot cake pan and closed the door. Then I let that bake at 500 degrees for about 15 minutes and then lowered the temperature to around 425 degrees for another 10 to 15 minutes. And as you can see, there was a lot of steam when I opened the door, and I think the bread turned out really good. Maybe some of the designs didn't turn out the greatest, but the texture and everything was pretty much exactly how a normal loaf would be, so I'm very happy with it. So I don't actually know what sourdough is supposed to look like on the inside, but there's bubbles in here and it tastes great, so it's good to me. So I feel like that's one of those things that people just get so caught up on, is like trying to make sourdough perfect and like have the beautiful bubbles on the inside and like airy or whatever. I don't even know exactly how it's supposed to look, but I feel like if it is bread at the end of the day and it tastes good, I don't see how that's a fail. I mean, I totally understand like wanting to perfect something and get better and better at something. Like even for me, I want to learn more about the process of sourdough and the science behind it and just how everything works and get better at it. But it's not something that I will stress about because for me, it's just bread. Like, I'm not baking this bread as an art. I know it can be an art, and it is a beautiful thing when you score it really nice and it comes out of the oven and it's beautiful, and I love it. But when you're a mom and you're a busy mom and you just want to make good bread, don't worry about how good it looks or if it's like proper. It's bread. And I think if you enjoy it, it tastes good, then that's all that matters. But obviously that doesn't mean that you can't make it look pretty. So if you've been thinking about wanting to make sourdough, but you're just like worried about it and you think everything is like very complicated, it's not. And I do have a video on how I make my regular loaf, which I'll like link in the description or up here or something, which you guys can check out because it's really not complicated. Now there's like a bunch of different ways that people do it and they can make it more complicated, and it's fun to learn the new ways, which is something I want to do. But like if you're just starting out, keep it simple. Remember, it's just bread. It's there to feed your family, and so don't worry about all the small little nitpicky things that people talk about. So just start making sourdough and enjoy the process. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great week.